Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.
What's up? This is the Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Hoppy.
And I'm Ryan Stuppridge,
a.k.a. Super Rich. If you want to call the show and get on the air on SportsTownChicago.com, it's not too hard. It's 630-403-5200. That's 630-403-5200. And you can tweet at me at HoppyRadio893 if you want your tweets right on the air. Let's just say you're a bit shy and you don't want to call in. Ryan, what is your Twitter account?
You can follow me at Ryan Stuppridge, STUPRICH. And on the Illinois Center for Broadcasting hotline, we have Ben Finfer from 87.7 The Game. What's up, Ben?
Boys, how you guys doing? Having fun out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. How has everything been at the game since we last had you on the show?
Everything at the game has been great.
Nice.
I found everything. I know where the vending machines are, bathrooms, even the good bathroom. People are great. Everyone's been nice. I'm waiting for someone to not be nice to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's just it doesn't feel right to have everyone being so nice, but that's been the case, and we're having a ton of fun.
What is your go-to snack during break time at the vending machine?
Well, the go-to snack is Cheez-Its. There's no question.
Nice.
Yes.
It's the perfect snack. You
Yes.
can. They don't get the fingers too dirty, like a Dorito might or a Cheeto, and that are nice and perfectly salted, and you can finish a bag in a break. It's quick, so the Cheez-It is my go-to in every break.
Okay, let's start off talking about with the Blackhawks. Your take on the series as they beat the Wild in 6 games.
Well, I thought that the Hawks didn't play their best. I think Corey Crawford, especially in games 5 and 6, with his play, stole them a win. And they're good. I mean, they're too talented to lose to a team like the Wild. The Wild are much better than I thought they were. They've improved since the Hawks played them last year in the playoffs, but they're still not as talented as the Blackhawks. And when you have a team like the Hawks who has as much talent as they do, plus the confidence that they do, it's going to take a lot for a team to knock them out in a 7-game series. It's obviously not impossible. I have no idea if they're going to win the Cup or not this year, but it takes a big effort to get those guys out because nobody has a killer instinct like the Blackhawks. When it's time to close out a series, they close out a series.
Who were some of the guys from the Hawks that just went off and surprised you, Ben?
Well, surprise is not the word I would use for any of them because at this point you've come to expect them to put up these types of performances. But Kane and Taves have been the heroes so far, and Crawford. Kane, Taves, and Crawford are the 3 guys, and they're paid to be the best, and they are the best. And 7 of the 8 game winners have come from either Patrick Kane or Jonathan Taves. So those 2 are usually great, and sure enough, they have been so far, and same with Corey Crawford. The guy's been a stud. He's been the best goaltender in the playoffs in the NHL, and he's a big part of the reason, probably the biggest reason, that the Blackhawks are here in the Western Conference Finals.
Going back to Kane, what was your take on his overtime game-winning goal?
My take is to not be shocked.
Yeah.
No surprise. It's Patrick Kane. This is a guy who has a whole long list of very dramatic game-winning goals, overtime goals, playoff goals, Stanley Cup winning goals. He's done it so many times before. He's going to do it many more times again. And at that point, they go to the playoff or to overtime. You say, "Oh, Patrick Kane's going to probably score a goal for the Hawks to win," and that's what happens. So it's just another great Patrick Kane moment in a career that is already full of a ton of them.
Who would you like to see the Hawks go up against in the next round, the Anaheim Ducks or the Los Angeles Kings?
Yeah, that's the big question everybody's been asking over the last few days. And
Right.
I think no matter who it is, it's going to be a tough series. I don't see the Hawks sweeping whoever it is in the Western Conference Finals or even getting done 5 games. It's probably a 6 or 7 game series either way. But I'd rather them play the Ducks if I had to pick the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if you play them versus playing the Kings, you're giving up home ice advantage. If it goes 7 games, you're playing in Anaheim instead of playing in Chicago against the Kings. But to me, it's about the goaltenders. And you compare Jonathan Quick for Los Angeles to the 20-year-old John Gibson for Anaheim. I'd rather go against the 20-year-old. And I know he's had a great postseason, and maybe he's the next best goalie in the NHL. I don't know. But we know Jonathan Quick is great. We know that he can steal a series. Just because the Hawks beat them last year doesn't guarantee anything this year. I think they can beat them, and don't get me wrong, but I'll take my chances with the 20-year-old instead of the Olympian. So I think the Ducks would be the better matchup.
Now, Ben, I want to get your take on this. Let's say the Hawks go all the way and win another cup. Where would this team rank all time?
Well, they're not going to be considered the best team, or if you're talking about the dynasty,
Right.
they're not going to be the best dynasty. They don't compare with the Canadians. When for 20 years, they were the team winning the cup every year, basically. I don't know if you would put them up against the Islanders or Oilers. Those are 2 dynasties. If you look at the numbers, those can't be matched. The things that Gretzky was doing and Messier, that's legendary stuff. But if the Hawks go on to win 3, heck, really just after winning 2, but especially if they go on to win 3, in this era of hockey, with the salary cap, with so much parity around the league, it would be as impressive as any of those, but I don't think I would say it beats any of those other dynasties. But still, they'd be in the team photo as one of the best teams ever.
Now let's talk about some Chicago Cubs baseball right now, and I know it's not a fun thing to talk about, obviously, but do you think that the manager Rick Renteria has been doing a good job managing this team, even though it's definitely not a fun job for him to be managing a team like this?
Yeah, it's hard to judge. It's such a small sample size we're talking about so far. It feels like it's been a whole season already, but it's only been 6 weeks.
Right.
And with this team, it's tough to judge what type of a manager he is. But for me, this season was about the youngsters and seeing how they performed, Castro and Rizzo specifically, at least until the other minor leaguers are called up. And those guys are having great years.
Yeah.
Now, is that because of Rick Renteria? I have no idea. It might be a combination of a lot of things. But he's the guy there, and it seems to be working. So as far as that's concerned, I guess Renteria is doing a good job. I have other questions about him as a manager, some of his lineup decisions, not playing guys like Mike Olt every day. But it's only been 6 weeks. It's nothing to go crazy about yet. I think the jury is still out on Rick Renteria.
Now, Ben, the Cubs will be bad for the rest of the year, but what can fans take out of it? Will there be anything positive to look at during this year when the season's done?
There's not going to be a lot.
Yeah.
There definitely isn't going to be a lot. I wish I could say otherwise, but it's just not the case. Like I said, Rizzo and Castro, you can watch to see if they continue to have good years, comeback years, and give you confidence that you can count on them as you build this franchise back up. And what other minor leaguers they bring up. We'll see if you just watch the minor leagues. Does Javi Baez turn his season around? Again, it's only been 6 weeks. He was hurt for a good chunk of those, but he struggled so far at AAA. So keeping an eye on what he does there, and maybe he'll be promoted to the majors at some point. So there's that to watch and that to be excited about. And Chris Bryant and the other minor leaguers. So that's what there is to be excited about.
Yeah.
And if you get excited about trades, then maybe you can get excited to see the Cubs get a good prospect in return for Jeff Samardzija. Or maybe you'll get excited about some draft pick that they'll make when they pick 4th in June. But that's about it.
Now, moving to the White Sox, how surprised are you, Ben, that they are around the 500 mark? Did you think this would ever
it's not really a surprise. They've been about what I expected. They've been, I guess they're slightly below average, right? They're a little bit under 500 baseball team, but they're close. I mean, it couldn't have been as bad as last year. I didn't think they were going to be as disastrous as last year, but I also didn't expect them to be very good. You don't rebuild a team in just one off season. And Rick Hahn's done a nice job of starting a rebuild and made a lot of progress in a short amount of time. But it's going to take some time. And I think ultimately this year, if they finish close to 500 or at 500, a little above 500, that is a successful season for the White Sox. Anything more than that is just unrealistic. And you hope that worst case scenario, they're at least getting into the low 70s in wins and showing you some signs that there's reasons to be encouraged. Jose Abreu continuing to hit like he has, and maybe getting some of your pitchers back healthy, and some of the other youngsters contributing. So a lot of the same things that you say about the Cubs, watching the youngsters progress and hoping that they can improve throughout the year. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I also agree with that. And speaking of Jose Abreu, I mean, he's obviously burst onto the scene here, and it was just like a great steal for the White Sox. And I think I think if Jose Abreu can continue to be really good, he has a chance to be an AL MVP, I think, this year.
He does have a chance. I would think a better chance of being the Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
Because MVP, you're still going to have to contend with Mike Trout and Miguel Cabrera, and a lot of people just won't vote for a guy who isn't on a playoff team. And there's a fair reason to make that argument. But that's not really that important. If you're a Sox fan, you don't care about the awards. I guess it's nice when you see your players rewarded like that. You just want to see him continue to play at this level because it looks like the White Sox have a stud here.
Yes.
And the numbers he's putting up haven't been done. Not a lot of guys in the history of the league have had starts like this. But it is important to keep in mind that it is just a start. And he's never played more than 89 games in a baseball season. So that's going to be new for him at some point. Pitchers will figure out something, and he's already had to adjust a few times to pitchers, and he's done it successfully, but it's been great so far. He's fun to watch. He's a must-watch every time he's at the plate. But, again, got to keep in mind just 6 weeks is a short amount of time. There's still a long way to go before we know exactly what Jose Abreu is. And
before we let you go, Ben, where can people find your work online and on the radio?
Well, thank you for asking. They can listen on 87.7 FM. We're on thegamechicago.com. If you've got a smartphone, and I don't know who doesn't, then we're on the TuneIn Radio app, the iHeartRadio app. We're basically everywhere. You can't miss us. You can just come on up to the station and stand outside the studio and listen. Whatever you want to do, we're out there for you.
Well, Ben, have a good weekend, my man, and we'd love to have you on again.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great weekend, and tell Joe Ostrowski I said hello.
Okay,
sounds good.
We'll make sure to do that.
Thanks, Ben.
All right.
And that was Ben Finfer. You can hear him every midday between 12 to 3. We will be right back on the Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com. After this, BRB.
The Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.
What are you, stupid? Stay right where you are. The Friday Sports Riot will be right back. Don't you go nowhere.